right, gals, we're doing common fitting adjustments and it's time to talk about the bust. And I can talk about the bust forever, but hopefully we're not going to be here that long. We're going to look at the different elements that it's helpful to understand when you are doing bust adjustment work and looking at your pattern and looking at your garment to figure out if the bust is right. And then we have 3 different videos that walk you through the process of doing some of the adjustments that are not difficult to do. They're also included in the common fitting adjustments, but we will be giving you the step-by-steps with the pattern work so you can do them yourself if you need them. And so let's not dilly-dally, let's get started. This is the intro. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the terms I use when I talk about the bust. And of course we're working with both the Opus pattern from the patchwork, sewing quilted patchwork jackets pattern, and we're also looking at the Tabula Rasa jacket, which has 2 different fronts, and so we'll talk about that too. When we think about the bust, we want in a pattern that fits us well for the bust to sit and not be impeded anyway, but also to not look like there's too much fabric in the bust area in relation to the amount of bust you have or the person that you're making the coat for has. And so when we look at a balanced garment on the we're going to look at it on the mannequin because it's hard to see on the body. You want those balance lines and grain lines parallel and perpendicular to the floor. And if they are, then chances are you have the right amount of bust length and bust width, and you probably don't need to make a whole lot of other alterations. If something is skewed and you say have your front balance lines, and I'm going to tip this and get it to so you can see that your front balance lines are curving up a little bit and the hemline is curving up a little bit, and same with the one we looked at, the round back. If that is happening, chances are you need some additional bust length, okay? And there's really 2 things we talk about with the bust: length and width, okay? And so the bust length is such that if you need more, you have, it looks like this on the mock-up that you're making. And if you add some in, it will be able to drop down and be straight across, which is what you want. So if you have too much bust length, it will look a little droopy. This will actually be sort of drooping down, and they'll feel like there's just a little too much here. And if that was the case, you could take just ever so slightly an amount, and I have to do this myself in my jackets, just take a tiny little bit out there, and you see that that just immediately straightens that line again. And I show you how to do that. Take different incremental amounts out of the bust line if you have a little too much bust. We look at how to take the entire dart out if you don't need the dart at all. And then we also look at how to add a little bit in if you don't have quite enough. If you have even 2 darts and you still are getting this upward tip, then you might need to add even a little bit more length into the body to accommodate what you have, what you're gifted with. I mean, that is just the reality. We want it to look like the body fits into the space that has been arranged for the bust line, between this area here, between these darts. Now, bust width is just exactly what it means. It's this space that is covering the bust. And I'm looking here at the Opus right now because she's using the shirt collar version. And the shirt collar version, and I have on a Tabula Rasa jacket with the shirt variations, really requires you to have the right fit in the bust. If you don't have the right fit, if you don't have enough bust width, your shirt will just pull open like that, or you'll get gaps. And I know I've heard teachers say, well, just put a snap there. Well, if you don't have enough space, a snap is still going to look pulled and stressed. If you have enough space and it just sits right where it belongs on top of your bust, then you will feel so much better. So you want to think in terms of both width and length when you are getting the bust to fit you right. Now, you might not want to do all the changes at once. In your mock-up, if you observe that you definitely need more length, go ahead and add the length in. And then if you decide you need more width, you can add that in too. If you know when you work with other patterns, you need both length and width, go ahead and proactively add that so that you know what you're getting. I would say, certainly the case in the Opus, which only has one front. In the Tabula Rasa jacket, we have two different fronts, and so you can proactively choose the AB front for the smaller bust and the CD front for the larger bust. And in the video about the Tabula Rasa jacket bust adjustments, we're going to actually look at the two different pattern pieces and how they differ and where extra width has been added in the CD so that you can get a sense of how we have created these products to help you get the right fit in the bust. Now, let's take just an aside and think about what it looks like if you don't have enough width in the bust. And we talked about in a shirt, for instance, it will be pulling, the body will be stretching out the garment. But there's another way to tell, and I'm going to bring our friend here. And I've tried to create a situation on this color-blocked mock-up so you can see what happens if you don't have enough bust width. Because if you don't have enough bust width, then your seam line here, which ideally is going to run pretty straight, and you can see on our Opus friend, it runs pretty straight right down there from here down, straight down. And this one you're seeing is coming way out and being really stressed this direction. And I've created a situation where she doesn't have enough bust width, and that's giving you more lines here in the sleeve that you wouldn't necessarily have otherwise. So that if you took a ruler, and I'm going to reach over here and grab mine so I can show you, and you laid that there, you would see that the hem fits okay, but right in through this space, you don't have enough bust width, or I've certainly created that look for you so you can see what it was going to look like on yours. And in a couple of these directions, a couple of these videos, I've talked about doing a color block mock-up so you can see exactly how each piece is playing well together. It's a little harder to see when everything is done in the same fabric. So if we added some bust width here, and I'm going to do that simply by unpinning these pins that I've put in here, and I can return this to its actual correct shape, you can see there what that looks like. How it should look, it should come straight down, or essentially straight down, so that there's no stress in through here, and it will just look better. The other thing that we have on the Tabula Rasa jacket version of the bust adjustments is I showed you how to tip the dart, and tipping the dart brings it up just a little bit so that it doesn't, in our minds, in my mind at least, it doesn't look as interesting because it's no longer parallel coming off of that space where the sleeve and side panel comes in. I love things to be sort of organized that way. But I would say that if your bust is particularly high, or you feel better having the dart point to the bust, these are very small darts, and they generally can just sort of hide there on the side of the garment. But if you want it to tilt, I've shown you how to do that. in the Tabula Rasa jacket adjustments, so that you will be able to make the adjustments you need to get your pattern fitting you right in your bust. I'm going to rearrange the furniture here a minute so I can say bust adjustments don't have to be huge, but they need to be you. If you're making it for you, if you're making it for someone else, they need to suit the wearer. And if you read the things we've written, read the common fitting adjustments, and watch these videos, I think you'll have a better idea of how to create the bust shape that you need that will look best on your body, and keeping all the other dimensions well suited to your shape so your garments really look like they fit you. When you're wearing something that fits you, and I've said this throughout this series of videos, when you feel good in it, and it looks good, and it hangs unstressed on the body, it looks like it fits you perfectly. And no one will ever know that you've done these adjustments, that the pattern didn't fit you perfectly in the beginning. But I'll tell you, the pattern doesn't fit anybody perfectly in the beginning. And making a few adjustments so that it's personalized to you will make all the difference in the world in your sewing. So enjoy these 3 titled bust videos. Use the information that you think is going to help you get your perfect fit. And keep on sewing, girls. You'll be ready to sew lots and lots of tops once you get that bust sitting right there in your garments where it belongs.